Alright. Oh, there we are. Hey, we're back live on air.
Let's start this again.
We can start this all over again.
Alright, can you hear us? On the board?
Oh, we can hear you. We're just waiting for some confirmation
Off the board.
from the board. Alright, so we are, this week with Occultist Radio. We had a little bit of, we're still getting no's. No. Uh-oh. Nobody's getting us?
Have they refreshed? Do they need to refresh again?
I don't know. Can you hear us yet? We gotta wait for like a kind of like a 20. Yes, after refreshing they did. Okay, we are live. Okay, well, welcome to This Week on Occultist Radio. We're playing a fun game this weekend already. We have Lucy Tate with us. She is a member of the OTO. Yes, Lucy? And a good friend of ours. And you were about to talk to us about the OTO.
Is there an issue? Is there an issue with that? I mean, everyone's still an individual within the lodges, Well, I think you're a well-learned and well-respected member, nonetheless.
Oh, you're eloquent and
Yes.
and you're well versed. So.
Well versed, yeah, well studied.
And again, she's turning red.
I know.
I love when Lucy turns red.
Well, should we launch into some questions then? Right. Oh, all right. Let me hit you with this one. Can you explain the premise of Thelema?
Hold on. I quit.
It's followed by Love is the Law, Love Under Will. So to that end, one can say that the primary theme or premise, if you will, of Thelema would involve a person's individual freedoms and recognizes that men and women have an inherent divine nature, and that love is the foundation of what the Thelemites call the great work, or the magnum opus.
Right. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, that was beautiful, Lucy. Sorry, we are. Okay.
There it is. They're better now. There
All
we
right.
go.
Okay.
We're good.
They were having a huge problem being able to hear you, but now I think you're at optimum level. That was on our part, so sorry about that, honey. So it was just we had our SAM broadcaster malfunction last night, so I think we
had
need
to redo our SAM.
tweak our little knobs a little more.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
I mean, they could hear you, but it was really low. We're good to go, right?
Okay, so we're gonna do it again.
No, don't do it again. Should we do it again?
Okay.
Yeah, do it again.
Do you mind doing it again?
Okay.
That was
again the premise of Thelema.
Yes,
Yes,
please. I'm
please.
so sorry.
Okay, no problem. Shall I could go on?
Yeah, please.
Feel free to roam.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Like I said, the goal of a Thelemite, or a person who adheres to the laws of Thelema, the idea is to discover and to do his or her true will, which can generally be defined as one's innermost nature, or one's life's proper course, so to speak. This concept of true will is outlined in Liber al Vallegis, or most commonly known as the Book of the Law, written by Aleister Crowley. in chapter 1, verse 40, he writes, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." And later in verse 57, he says, "Love is the law, love under will." So to that end, one can say that the primary theme or premise, if you will, of Thelema involves personal freedoms and recognizes that men and women have an inherent divine nature, and that love is the foundation of the great work, what Thelemites call the great work or the magnum opus.
Right.
Nice.
That's a really, yeah.
Now, the history of the OTO was originally under Masonic theology, but it changed to allow women. What teachings has the OTO continued to keep from the Masonic times?
Well, certainly Crowley understood and acknowledged the importance that women could have in a fraternal order. However, not being a Mason, or I can't even pretend to know about Masonry, I can't really say for certain what things have remained from Masonic rituals and whatnot, because Masons still only allow men in their fraternal order. So
now
I wouldn't know.
Now, I know actually, because we've gotten a few Mason books in here that I suppose we shouldn't have had, but we get a lot of books that we're supposed to not have as women. But I know they do a lot of the ceremonial work, and it's really geared towards more of the Hermes and the Tot and the Egyptian theology. So you guys you've kept a lot of that, right?
Yeah, a lot of that has been kept in, sure. But the actual internal functions, I would have no knowledge of, really.
Right. Yeah.
But there are certain similarities, certainly, I would imagine, being that it did come from the Masonic theology and ideology.
Right.
Sure.
So, how have women's roles expanded within the OTO?
Because I know they're expanding more and more.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yes. Certainly, the OTO, the women today are they're very involved, completely involved. The OTO today, there's women in leadership roles, as well as ecclesiastical religious roles, such as the priestess in the Gnostic Mass. Many OTO women are successful body masters. That is, they run their own, local OTO group. They're initiators, priestesses, instructors, artists. Interestingly, for a time, there was 4 local Southern California OTO groups, and 3 of them were headed by women at the time, myself being one of them when I was master of 93 Oasis. And currently, the 2 OTO groups in Southern California are run by women. So more and more we see women coming into more leadership roles. There's women in the order that are published writers, teachers, lecturers. There's just a wonderful wealth of women that are doing very wonderful things in the OTO right now as we speak.
That is excellent.
Yeah. And then, we could give a nod to the late, great Phyllis Seckler, a.k.a. Soror Morel, that started the College of Thelema, which is still going to this day.
Really?
So, yeah.
It's still going?
Up in Northern California somewhere.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the guidance that one gets from the OTO. I know you outlined it a little bit in your intro.
Sure. When you mean guidance, do you mean like the teaching structure or that sort of thing, or
a little bit of that? And from that, where can one take oneself? To elevate, ascend, as far.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Sure, I see. Okay. Well, one of the things that made me that drew me to the OTO was the fact that and then, it's different from a lot of the other pagan spiritual type groups out there, is that the OTO doesn't really have like a system, so to speak, of guidance or teaching. It's kind of like autonomous in that one is expected to read. Aleister Crowley has a vast array of books on on subject matter that would be of interest to Thelemites and also non-Thelemites. For the most part, OTO groups do have classes. Mm-hmm. When they get together, they discuss perhaps like the Mass or Liber All or any other wide variety of subjects that are out there that might be of interest to members. But as far as like having a set type of system or rules, there isn't really any. It's kind of like I said, it's autonomous. One is expected to want to learn this sort of thing and want to aspire without having to be pushed or
your hand held all the way.
Or militant. There's a certain level of desire and to do this sort of thing rather than spoon feeding. So and then of course through our initiations, our initiatory structure, there's usually a class that follows, so that way the initiate could understand what took place during their initiation. But it all depends again on the group, the individual body masters, and what the needs are for their particular group and individual. Certainly any member of the OTO could go to like their local body master or the person that sponsored them for their initiation if they need any help or guidance, as it were, that sort of thing.
Cool, that's good, because, we've had some guests on here that said everything was self-initiatory and that there was no guidance necessary.
Until after you had maintained a high level
just
within.
when you don't need it.
Yeah, until you've really mastered the path that you're on, then you need the guidance. It's like, it seemed like a little backwards to us.
Oh, yeah, I could understand that. I mean, I know certainly there have been people that have asked me the very same thing, that you just asked me about the guidance, and are they just thrown to the wolves, so to speak? And that's not the case at all. I mean, there's always there's a certain level of responsibility that one has to take when they embark on any spiritual path, and that would include also, taking it upon themselves to learn and to read and to ask questions that they feel they need answered. Again, the OTO doesn't spoon feed at all, but it does offer a tremendous amount of spiritual growth if the individual wants it, if it's their will to do so.
Yeah.
Certainly, there's areas that a person could grow personally and spiritually.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Now we know. Yeah. I think almost everyone knows that Crowley was a major, the mass influence of
one of the
OTO.
major figures.
But there
in the
are
OTO.
other. There, you've had other great leaders, big ones.
Oh yes, certainly. Yeah. And then that can also depend on who you talk to.
So that's so true.
So I guess I could say.
Well, who to you?
For myself, aside from Aleister Crowley, of course, I would have to say probably like Karl Kellner, who was the spiritual founder of the OTO.
Right.
He went by the magical name Father Renatus. And let's see, there's Theodore Royce, who was the first head of the Ordo Templi Orientis. Let's see. Oh, goodness. Charles Stanfield Jones, a.k.a. Frater Parzival. He was the one that elected Crowley to be actually the head of the OTO. when all that, talk about leadership was going on. Again, let's see, I'm trying to think off the top. Oh, Grady McMurtry. Grady McMurtry, who was kind of like the one who resurrected the American OTO. He passed away in 1985, but he went by the moniker Frater Hymenaeus Alpha.
Right.
And he was the head of the OTO from 1965 to 1985. And he was the fellow that was responsible for initiating one of my dearest friends, the Duquettes, Lon Milo and Constance Duquette. And that is a nice segue into Lon Duquette. You guys know Lon. And, Lon, it goes without saying, probably the most well-known Thelemite out there. He's written
a lot, tons of books.
He's just written just witty, knowledgeable, and friendly books on Thelema and the subject matter of Thelema and Aleister Crowley and the Thoth deck. And he continues to travel worldwide, giving lectures and seminars and things of interest to magical and occult communities. And again, I guess it's safe to say that he was one of the founding members of the OTO under Grady McMurtry, certainly. So if it had not been at least for those two men, I mean, who knows? I mean, certainly they had a lot to do with at least establishing the OTO in California as we know it today.
Did Grady hail from like the Midwest or something? Like just from memory, like there was something. What is it?
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did.
Like he seemed like really unassuming. You know what I mean? And he was so uber like knowledgeable. Like he had an intense grasp of the whole order. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people I know like really revere him. Like from where I come from, they do at least.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people, Thelemites and non-Thelemites, would agree that Grady McMurtry, pretty much like I said before, resurrected the OTO in California at least. It's not the United States. I mean, he certainly did.
Well, and in doing so, I think he had an effect worldwide. You know what I mean?
Because, sure, yeah. Because a lot of people came from, the Grady McMurtry school, as it were. He was married for a time to Phyllis Seckler.
Right.
And Phyllis, went on to establish the College of Thelema, and so it kind of just the branches that grew out of that tree, have been long lasting. I know a lot of people. Since Lon was a personal friend of Grady, you get a lot of neat stories from Lon about the Grady days, and it's always a pleasure to hear those.
I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, because he seemed to be a real funny character too.
Yeah, exactly. Like really, yeah.
In fact, he supposedly had
amazing sense of humor.
Wonderful demeanor and eccentric type of laughter. His laughter was, infectious, and so, it would have been nice to have met the man. But,
really a really unassuming man, despite all his, power and knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a lot to thank Grady McMurtry for, I guess, the current OTO, among other people. But those are the ones that kind of come to my mind. I'm probably missing somebody, and any my fellow Thelemites that are that listen to this will go, she didn't mention so and so, and she didn't mention so and so, but
But we got you under the spotlight.
Yeah.
You got to know some of them off the top of my head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit a touchy subject.
Yeah. Well,
it is touchy, but there was a time. It is.
It's a very saucy subject.
It is saucy. There was a time out there that OTO was falling a bit more into the flesh than ritual. It was. You know what? Remember when we crashed? Okay, here we go. Because we're going to get in trouble with OTO.
We actually didn't crash it.
Yeah,
we thought we were crashing this event, but apparently we were invited
and we didn't know.
And one of our interns stole our invites.
But yeah, we crashed. We crashed an event down in Long Beach because we thought we weren't invited. And you know us, Lizzie. You don't invite us, I'll just crash.
Yeah.
I'll crash the damn
That would have probably been Noticon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were down there, and the guy was, I think we got approached by about 15, 16 people. What level are you on? You want to go practice it upstairs in my room? So,
oh, goodness.
I know.
Well,
we're not...
So so that's the question is,
can we talk about that? Because you guys have come back around. You guys are I know that it fell.
It's going through a restructuring.
And it's going through a restructuring. Let's talk about this, because you guys are going back to more of the traditional roots of it, right?
I mean? Even though that was a big part of it, for some reason it just got out of whack. You know what I mean? A lot of people were, I don't know, using it for their own personal pleasure, And
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with personal pleasure.
But the thing is, though, kind of like, it's putting the system in a really questionable light for some people, Well,
I think the biggest joke out there was OTO is Golden Dawn with sex.
Yeah.
Oh my, yes, I had heard that.
And lots of it.
I knew that this question was probably going to come up. It always comes up, even like with people that I don't know that find out I'm in the OTO, or in passing, people like, oh, you're in the OTO. Is it really all about
yeah, it's
this
like
and that and the other, and
titillating subject for a lot of people.
Yeah. So it's kind of like one of these things where we go, okay, here we go again. But no, it's like every group of magical folk that are out there. There are going to be those that attempt to redefine the Lemic ideology with their own corrupt or misunderstood version of the philosophy. Mm-hmm. Hence why you beautiful ladies probably got propositioned left and right. Unfortunately, the OTO can't be... people are going to be how they are, regardless if they're in the OTO or not.
Right.
I think that for some individuals, and again, this is just my own take on it, I think for some individuals, because they feel that, or they eschew the actual understanding or meaning of what true will actually means, or the intention is for, that they could just do whatever they want, regardless of repercussions, and certainly I've heard from many folks out there that Crowley did it. Well, but Crowley also paid a price for his lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying anything that isn't out there available to read. Whether it be Richard Kaczynski's book Perdurabo or anything, there's a wealth of knowledge about Crowley's life. I don't have to really get into that, right? So, mm-hmm. But are there people that probably used their misunderstanding for their own gain, or
mm-hmm.
To do what they felt was their will of, I would say, probably so. This probably has occurred and had occurred in the OTO in the past. I think that the current leadership and people in the current leadership, try to make sure that we all understand that we need to be responsible for our actions, our behaviors. It's a personal responsibility that everybody has, and it's unfortunate that things like this do happen to sometimes slip into magical groups as a whole. So the OTO, shouldn't be, the only one that this would happen to. But yeah, certainly we've made leaps and bounds, I think, from that idea, that people once had of the OTO just being this big old, sex, magical group, rather than what it really should focus on, which is
mm-hmm.
life, love, and liberty. And so I don't know if that answered your question
mm-hmm.
at all, but I hope I didn't go off on a tangent. But yeah, that's kind of like a a sticky subject sometimes with some people because,
Right.
you have all kinds of people that have their opinions
Right.
and their experiences and I just have to go with some of my own personal experiences. I know, like, I haven't had any overtly in my face type of experience like you and Jymie had, but But then again, I'd probably bonk somebody on the head if they came up to me and said something like that. Hey, you want to go up to my room and learn the secret of the 6th degree or whatever? You know what I mean? Who knows? I don't know. That's a crazy statement, but you girls know me. I don't take lightly to people stepping in my personal space.
Right.
No, exactly. Exactly. That's why
I don't know if that answers your question or not, but there it is.
Yeah, no, it did. Without really, getting too far into it. It was a good explanation, hon.
Mm-hmm.
What about Gnosticism?
Gnosticism.
Yeah, because
as it relates to
the OTO.
To the OTO, the way because
excuse me.
A lot of people have adopted that within the OTO. So
we're not going to make you explain Gnosticism
because
we're actually going to do that in the second half of the show.
You don't have to.
But I'd like to know how, because you guys, because I see a lot of OTO Gnostic masses.
Yeah.
And one day I'm going to show up to one.
I have.
Have you?
In Australia.
Yeah, you'll have to. The next time I do Gnostic Mass, I'll have to invite you two down.
We're invited. Yes. No, we're invited all the time. We just never seem to be able to make it.
Yeah, especially at Star Sapphire, ours are on Sundays in the afternoons at 3. And normally you guys are at the store at that time, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
So Gnosticism within the OTO. Wow, that's a kind of like a loaded question. I guess as far as how it's incorporated into rituals of the OTO, that is what we try to do. Trying to live according to our true will is gnosis. You could say it's gnosis in action, and it's gnosis in participation. One of our main things, for me at least, one of the main gnosis, or one of my main how could I explain this? What I hope to obtain is to unlock that secret, so I could then have that knowledge and conversation with my holy guardian angel.
Right.
That for me has been an ongoing practice in Gnosticism, or putting it into some form of action. Certainly, there's gnosis within our Gnostic Mass. The whole idea is discovering the secret or the mystery of mystery within that ritual, within that central ritual of the OTO, the Gnostic Mass, which is beautiful, by the way. If you've never seen it, you've never been to one. Yeah, it's high time you ladies go to one.
I will. Next time you do one, we'll come down.
Yeah.
If we can make it that day, we're coming.
I think I'm on the schedule for October the 10th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So that's coming up pretty soon, actually.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, but I'll let you guys know.
That falls on a
Friday.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's a Friday. They were on the radio.
Yeah.
What happened?
What's that?
No. It's
a Friday that you're on the schedule. We're on the radio.
We're knowing because we have the radio commitment.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's either I'll let you guys know. I'll go over to the store and let you guys know.
Oh, you got to come over here anyway. Well, we're going to see you Sunday.
Hopefully.
That's true. Sunday, yeah, I'll be there.
For those of you who
I'll
don't
be
know,
there. Yeah,
wee.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm doing a talk there that day too. So
yeah.
And then Star Sapphire, I'll be having some of Star Sapphire's literature at my table.
Oh, excellent. We're
so that
We're gonna piss Brian off. We're bringing the laptop and a streaming camera, and to hell with him. We're recording people.
Yeah.
We're gonna stream live. We're streaming live over the internet.
Yeah.
Oh, really? At Pagan Pride?
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully we can.
Oh, that should be awesome. Right on. Well, you guys never have been like one to like conform to like, conformity.
You know what the great thing is that we're not FCC controlled, so I can say this. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Fuck Brian.
And it's going to be so abysmally hot. Oh my God, this weekend.
I know. It's going to be, it's like 95 degrees today over here. I'm like, oh,
in a miserable park.
It must have been that at least.
Yeah.
At
With
least
a miserable
90.
SOB.
Yeah, okay, everyone knows our dislike of Brian Ewing, but anyway. With good
it's for one day, and I think that we can all hack it for one day.
That's the only reason why.
That's true. We're going to hack it for one day. I'm not going to punch him in the ball sack. We'll be good.
Yeah. And, we'll see a lot of our friends. Tony and Joe Myers-Wicky, they're going to be there.
I know. Tony and Joe, we want to get
there.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Donnie's going to be there.
All our friends will be there. And so.
Yeah, Don Michael Craig. Yeah, that'll be cool to see Don.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a while, so it'll be all good. There'll be a lot of old friends there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the only reason why we're going, to be honest. Because all you guys are going to be there, so...
I just got a big whoa from the other owner. I'm not sure if that's I'm not supposed to say fuck Brian or punching him in the ball sack.
Okay.
We'll find out though.
Well, yeah, we'll agree to just be good. I mean,
Yeah, we'll agree to that.
It'll be a fun day.
We'll make the best.
It actually is going to be a fun day. There's a lot of people there that we all know. And for the most part, what is it? Lady Anja is telling me, she goes, I'm keeping Brian hell away from you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, she goes, I'm keeping Brian completely and utterly out of your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's so busy, last year I saw him like in the very beginning and I saw him like at the end. So he's running around all over the place all day long, so I doubt very much if there'll be a lot of interaction anyway, so...
I just think he would probably try to make it a point.
Because him and I share such love for each other. There's so much love between Brian and I. Anyway. He wants to get on his knees and propose.
Oh.
Oh my God, you crazy girl.
And that's being kind.
I know. I know.
You know everybody in the chat room right now just paused when I said get on his knees and went, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, where's she going?
Yeah, where's she going with that one? Okay, let's get off Brian because it's such a key subject.
Yeah.
I want to ask, someone searching out there, if they want a guidance in a group, what would they be looking for in OTO? I mean, what is the OTO premise?
Okay, going back to the whole premise thing. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the very first.
Individually, what are people looking for to do? What do you see the
most?
Well,
I guess it just depends on the individual person. I mean,
so it's many things. Obviously.
It's many things. It's all encompassing, and it's not. It differs for every person.
Yeah.
I mean, one person's quest is has no bearing on another person's quest. I mean, but there's that commonality that we all share that we do follow, or at least for the most part try to follow the do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Right.
Which doesn't mean to just do whatever it is you feel necessary or whatever because you can.
Right.
There's responsibility in their words, I always like to say that because I always hear very strange answers to do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, and it's all about knowing your own personal boundaries, your responsibilities to yourself and to your fellow human beings, So, but yeah, it's different for everyone. Someone might be seeking knowledge and conversation with a holy guardian angel. Someone might be seeking transcendence to whatever. It just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you see the most?
I'm sorry?
What do you see the most? I mean, there's got to be, people ask us, what do you see the most of spells? And truly, it's money spells. So what do you see people aiming for the most? Is it personal gain? Is it enlightenment? Is it the higher self, the lower self?
Like, what's the most popular goals?
Well, what I've seen is that people want to aspire to their highest good.
Right.
So I guess it would be their higher self. They really want to transcend the mundane, and with that would come, financial success, success in other areas of life. At least that's how it's been for myself and other members of the OTO that have followed the path according to their wills, and have done it well. You know what I mean? Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So most people that I've met, they want to ascend. They want to transcend this, the ordinary and mundane.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's a good thing to aspire to.
Yeah,
to be a better
absolutely.
person, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I think I'm echoing back a little. I said absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, there's a slight echo.
Yeah, I think we need to fine tune it a little bit more, but it's the quirks of live radio. So.
I know, live.
Live and unbound.
Yeah, and technology sometimes we're at its mercy. So
Oh, I hear that.
So,
is there anything else you want to add about OTO?
Yeah, we're kind of running out of questions.
And the reason why is because we don't know that much about the OTO.
Yeah, it's not really our, forte.
Yeah, a lot of it, is it's one of those things where you just have to go and experience.
Mm-hmm.
To that end, I always tell people, if they want to know more about the OTO, especially if you're in California and excuse me, Southern California, in the LA area, there's Star Sapphire Lodge, and that's in La Crescenta, and
are there any websites?
Yeah, there's a website. It's HTTP, Star Sapphire. Let me see about it. starsapphire/OTO.org.
Oh, thank you.
And it'll take you to the site. It will tell you about Star Sapphire Lodge, and it also has our events and our long-term calendar.
Okay.
And it has a calendar on there that a person could actually print out if they wanted to. And there's just a whole bunch of information on there. There's a lot of links that they could click onto to go to the main OTO site, the U.S. Grand Lodge site. If somebody just merely wants to read about Thelema, there's all sorts of things out there, but probably one of the best tools is Thelemapedia. That's the online encyclopedia of Thelema and Magick.
Yeah.
That's put out by our lodge out in the Scarlet Woman Lodge, I believe, puts that out, and that's in Texas, I believe they are.
Right.
And so there's that one, and then of course, like I said, the U.S. Grand Lodge website has all kinds of information too about membership and what the OTO is, and there's a section in there about the Gnostic Mass.
Right, perfect.
And all the OTO bodies in the United States are listed on that website. We always have wonderful events going on at Star Sapphire Lodge.
Right.
Pretty active group.
Yeah, there's open rituals too, right? Like you don't necessarily have to know a member or obviously not be a member to attend one of the Gnostic Masses. Or
you could go to a Gnostic Mass. You don't have to necessarily be a member. You could go. Anybody could go to a Gnostic Mass as long as it's a public Mass.
Yeah, it's a public ritual.
Every now and then there are private ones, but most of the time they're public, so anybody could go. And that's a perfect way to meet people in the order, and to maybe find out if that's something a person likes and would like to do, or feels like a resonance with it.
Right. My memory's a little hazy, but in Australia, I'm not sure if I was attending Gnostic masses, but there'd be like almost like whole productions of scripted I'll deem it performances, even though it was part of a ritual. It was presented almost as a performance. Are we talking about the same thing? But they're really beautiful. You know what I mean? Maybe it was some of the rites that Crowley had written.
There was the rites of Eleusis.
Yeah. Well, for instance, that's one I have seen. So, is it one and the same that we're talking about?
No, the rites of Eleusis are rites based on each planet.
Right. Yes.
And so there's a whole series of rites, and they're kind of based upon Eleusinian mysteries as well.
Right. Yeah.
And then so I guess it, like there's the rite of Sol, the rite of Luna,
right.
the rite of Mars, etc. So the Gnostic Mass, you would see a priest and a priestess.
Right.
There's a deacon. There's two individuals that are called children, and one would be like the fire child and the water child, and their role is to carry those implements that pertain to those elements. So the positive child would carry the water, and the negative child would carry the incense, the censer. So and it is to some degree sort of like a performance, I guess. It's very beautiful. I mean, every lodge has a certain flair or a certain idea of how it should be executed, but we all still follow like the same guidelines, that we have. But some of the priestess robes, I've seen some that are just simply stunning, and then some that are very simple, but they're still very effective, because it's really all about what's going on with with the priest and priestess, and all the interaction that goes on there. So
yeah.
it's I don't know. Is that what you experienced, Vicky? Was an actual like mass where you did see a priest and a priestess and
I've seen. I guess I've seen both.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like I said, it was so long ago. I'm talking like in my mid-20s, and that was like forever ago.
Yeah.
So, and I saw several of them. So, but
Did they have electricity?
Oh my God, I am not that old.
Just saying.
Thank you.
Oh my!
I know, right? She's only 2 years younger than I, so.
Well, when I was growing up, we didn't have electricity.
Well, that's because you're poor.
Oh, nice, nice. Yes, I was poor.
Well, I took a shot at my age. There you go. Now let's my train of thought. What was I going to say? Damn, I just totally forgot. But they were like really beautiful. I mean, I was really impressed with the just the visual, aspect of it all as well. And everything was blended perfectly. The incense, the candles, it just created such an amazing atmosphere. It was. I think it was like the first rituals I'd ever seen in my life. So, apart from the ceremonial mass, but that doesn't count. So
well, Crowley definitely was into, ambiance and theatrical, theatrical presentations.
It was down to a T in costuming
really
the works.
Had that.
Yeah.
I mean, back in Crowley's day, they even had live musicians and everything.
Right.
It was pretty cool. I mean,
they definitely had live musicians to be actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like over here we did a presentation of let's see, this is when LVX was still a body here in it was in Panorama City, and we did like a version of Mercury, like Phantom of the Opera, but it was Mercury at the opera.
Oh.
And so you can imagine it was set to music from Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera, and we used taped music, but we sang live.
Wow.
To a tape, and so that was pretty cool. And then,
that sounds really, really unique. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, but there's been other groups like in other parts of the country that have actually done rites live with bands, full on, bands, and we did that here as well. Several years ago, we did a production of Crowley's The Ship, and that was done up in L.A. Up at there was a Masonic temple that had been rented for this purpose, and we did it. There was live music too, so it was guitar and I believe piano and a chorus, which I was in the chorus, and it was a great time. I think everybody really enjoyed it. It was very, very simple and but very profound at the same time, and the costuming, just everything came together. It was a treat to be involved in that. That was one of my more fonder memories of being in the OTO, was being in the production of The Ship.
Right.
And doing the music and such. But yeah, there's different people have different visions for the rites and how they should perform them and how they should execute them. So, it just all depends. I mean, I know at Star Sapphire we're thinking about doing rites and maybe resurrecting Mercury at the opera again for next year.
Great.
I want to.
That was a lot of fun.
Oh, I hope we can see that.
We got a question for you in the chat room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What is meant by when one follows their true will, the force of the universe is behind them? Is there a difference between true will and destiny?
That's a doozy.
I bet that's somebody I know. That's let me like trip her up.
No, it's not. It's not a her. And
No,
it's a
he.
It's a he, and he's usually on the board.
He's on the board religiously.
Okay, well, the concept they want. Okay, what was the question again? They wanted to know what was the concept.
Is there a difference between true will and destiny? When one of the concepts is when one follows their true will, the force of the universe is behind them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. I mean, that's one and the same, because when one is following their true will, that means they're going accordance to what they know that their purpose in life is.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore the universe is going to follow that progression.
Right.
Because we're the ones in charge of it, right? I mean,
that's right. You're in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah.
You are
exactly.
you are
We're
the captain.
In charge of that. Yeah. There's nobody around that could tell a person what their true will is. It has a general meaning, but when a person actually determines what their proper course in life, then they take that mode of action. That then at that point then will unite their what we call the purest personal will with a postulated course. You understand what I mean? It goes beyond anything else, and it's available to anybody as long as they want to work at it. It takes a lot of work. A lot of people forget that part of true will, is that there's a lot of work to doing one's will. Mm-hmm. It's not easy.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Just thinking, I guess we'll just tie it up right now. You've been absolutely enlightening and amazing, Lucy, as always.
Thank you, Lucy.
Well, thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
I'll come harass you on Sunday.
Yeah, we can't wait.
Oh yeah, I want to see you guys too. And I have to I know there's some oils I need to pick up. Whee! But I'll call you on the side.
Oh yeah, make sure you let us know in advance.
What you want us to bring in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have some there, obviously, but just in cases.
We're bringing oils?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're not bringing oils.
You better be bringing oils, because I was telling people, that you guys are going to have the best oils there. I think you'll probably be the only ones that have oils there.
Thank you.
So, shoot. I mean, that panpipe special and that success oil didn't get to be so well known and come to me, without, there's a reason behind all that, Those of us that have used those oils for many, many years.
Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, Luce.
Well, thank you very much. It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. You have a good night, hon. See you Sunday.
Okay, I'll see you Sunday.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Lucy's always great.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
Oh, she's spectacular. She is spectacular.
She's like the best person to know.
She is. She's a sweetheart, too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, in the second half of the show, we're going to be talking about Gnosticism and then begin our journey on the Tree of Life.
And
we're going to do some exercises. We're going to go over.
We're going to go over.
We're going to go over. That's going to just make our Katutha so mad.
Hopefully not like an hour plus.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not an hour plus. Anyway, we're going to take a small music break. We suggest pens, paper, something cold to drink.
Oh, are we going to Ustream on this one or no?
Not this one. No, when we'll be Ustreaming for Kabbalah.
No.
Right now we're Gnostic.
Well, what I'm saying is
we will be Ustreaming tonight.
In the second half, we will be at some point Ustreaming.
Yes, we will. Maybe in the third half.
So be prepared.
Enjoy some Fraud Oz until then.
it to make it. Every day he takes it. He wills it and fills it until he knows what to make of it. And he knows it's all inside. She's shameless, she's nameless, invoking all of his emptiness. He wants her, he sees her, he feels her, he's near her, he hears her deep inside. He did it all for new wheat, and he searched for her deed, always burning inside. And I wonder if she sees him with her Babylon eyes. He did it all for new wheat, and he searched for her deed, always burning inside. And I wonder if she'll find him with her Babylon eyes. He fakes it to make it. Every day he takes it. He wills it and fills it until he knows what to make of it. And he knows it's all inside. She's shameless, she's nameless, invoking all of his emptiness. He wants her, he seeks her, he feels her, he's near her, he hears her deep inside. He did it all for new wheat, and he searched for her deed, always burning inside. And I wonder if she sees him with her Babylon eyes. He did it all for new wheat, and he searched for her deed, always burning inside. And I wonder if she'll find him with her Babylon eyes. He wants her, he seeks her, he feels her, he's near her, he hears her.
Welcome back to Occultist Radio on the ParaQuest Radio Network worldwide. Tonight we're doing Gnosticism and then on to Ustream for the understanding of the beginning stages of the Tree of Life. That's right, people. We're gonna be streaming.
Oh my God. Was that your radio voice?
Yeah, I don't have a radio voice.
Your radio persona?
I don't even have a radio persona.
Oh, okay. Okay, I guess we're going to head on into Gnosticism.
Teach us, Vicky, teach us. Teach us, teacher.
Okay. Okay. Gnosticism is a philosophical and religious movement which started in pre-Christian times. The name is derived from the Greek word gnosis, which literally means knowledge. However, the English words insight and enlightenment capture more of the meaning of gnosis. It is pronounced with a silent G. No S.
Gnosis.
Oh, the way I said it, basically. You know, it's the Australian way to say it. I'm sorry. I don't conform. Gnosis. Basically, don't say it the way I say it.
Gnosis.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So, I've heard people say gnosis and
Gnosis.
And you know, it really doesn't bother me either way.
Gnosis.
So, I think it bothers Jymie. Gnosticism is not factual, intellectual, rational knowledge, such as is involved in mathematics and physics, but would have been more accurately represented by the Greek word episteme. Rather, Gnosticism involves the rational or experiential knowledge of God and the divine or spiritual nature within us. A visitor on... Sorry, Dorian, this is a side note we made. Oops. Gnosis believes that we have secret...
Gnostics.
Do you want to read it?
No, I just want you to say it the way I want you to say it.
I think
I want to be in charge. I have a control issue going on tonight.
Alrighty. Okay, Gnostics believe that we have secret knowledge about God, humanity, and the rest of the universe, of which the general population was unaware. It became one of the three main belief systems within the first century of Christianity and was noted for 4 factors by which differed from the 2 other branches of Christianity: novel beliefs about gods, the Bible, and the world, which differed from those of other Christian groups. Tolerance of different religious beliefs within the outside of the Gnosticism lacked discrimination against women. Although Jesus treated women as equals, and Paul mostly did the same, the other Christian belief systems oppressed women in later generations. A belief that salvation is achieved through rational and experiential knowledge. In words of the contemporary Gnostic apostolic... I am so tired. Okay, Gnostic Apostolic Church. Humanity needs to be awakened and brought to a realization of his true nature. Mankind is moving towards the omega point, the great day when all must graduate or fall. This day is also the day of judgment, in that only those who have entered the path of transfiguration, a being reborn, can return to the treasury of light. The following points are believed to be generally accurate throughout the movement. Their role: they believe that they alone truly understood Christ's message, and that other streams of thought within Christianity had been misinterpreted Jesus' mission and sayings. Are you
Gnosis.
Are you texting?
I am. Gnosis. Knowledge to them was not an intellectual exercise. It was not a passive understanding of some aspect of spirituality. Rather, knowledge had a redeeming and liberating function that helped the individual break free of bondage to the world. The deity, the Supreme Father God or Supreme God of Truth, is remote from human affairs. He is unknowable and undetectable by human senses. And it's really a... should have written the word because now I can't think of it. Androgynous type God. Either she or he, sometimes neither. Created a series of supernatural but finite beings called aeons. One of these was Sophia, a virgin, who in turn gave birth to a defective inferior creator god, also known as the Demiurge.
Did you mean Sophia?
Sophia. What did I say?
Sophia.
Sophia.
Okay, no worries.
This lower god...
You said Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah.
Sophia. This lower god is sometimes called Yaldabaoth. Or, see, I didn't give you this one. You used to thank me.
What do you mean, give me?
these names to say. I could have. Yaldabaoth and Jaldabaoth. See, I volunteered to take this section.
I don't think we should be breaking this up with a monologue.
From Aramaic words meaning begetter of the heavens. And this is Jehovah, the God of Hebrew scriptures. He is portrayed as the creator of the earth and its life forms. He is viewed by Gnostics as fundamentally evil, jealous, rigid, lacking in compassion, and prone to genocide. You know, they say genocide like it's a bad thing.
Oh, man.
Anyway,
okay, let's just ignore that she said that.
The demiurge. What? The whole world needs an enema.
Okay, we're not into genocide, so...
Knuckle draggers going, kapow!
Genocide of what? Knuckle draggers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We're good.
Right.
The demiurge thinks that he is supreme. His pride and incompetence have resulted in the sorry state of the world as we know it, and the blind and ignorant condition of most of mankind. Yeah, we are talking about the monad, Occultist. Duality of spirit and body. Spirit is of divine origin and good. The body is inherently earthly and evil. Gnostics were hostile to the physical world, to matter, and the human body. But they believed that trapped within some people's bodies are the sparks of divinity or seeds of light that were supplied to humanity by Sophia.
Sophia. You know Sophia's wisdom.
Sophia. I don't know why I'm not getting that word right tonight.
It's Greek. Sophia.
I know, I'm not getting this word right
Just like
tonight.
I couldn't get Gnosticism right. Okay.
Gnosticism. Jesus! Salvation of
You know what? I'm Australian. Give me a break. You know, I pronounce things slightly different than the way, differs from you. It doesn't mean
I'm going to
it's
slap
wrong.
you with a banana and G-Monkey's going to come. Salvation. A person attains salvation by learning secret knowledge of their spiritual essence, a divine spark of light or spirit. They then have the opportunity to escape from the prison of their bodies at death. Their soul can ascend to be reunited with the Supreme God at the time of their death. Gnostics. Notice how I said that? Gnostics divided humanity into three groups. The spiritual, who would be saved irrespective of their behavior while on earth. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That means I can just be yeah.
You can what?
Nothing. The soulish, who could be saved if they followed the Gnostic path. And the carnal, who are hopelessly lost. They did not look upon the world as having been created perfectly and then having degenerated as a result of the sin of Adam and Eve. Rather, the world was seen as being evil at the time of its origin, because it has been created by an inferior god. The snake symbol for the Gnostics. They honored the snake. They did not view the snake as a seducer who led the first couple into sinful behavior. Rather, they saw him as a liberator who brought knowledge to Adam and Eve by convincing them to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and thus to become fully human.
Mm-hmm. Oh, to become balanced, anyway. So Christ. The role of the Redeemer in Gnostic belief. Did I say that right? Gnostic? Are you okay?
Gnostic, yeah.
Is heavily debated at this time. Gnostics seem to have looked upon Christ as a revealer or liberator rather than a savior or judge. His purpose was to spread knowledge, which would free individuals from the demiurge's control and allow them to return to the spiritual home with the supreme God at death. Some Gnostic groups promote and only had a phantom body. Jesus just appeared to be human to his followers. Oh boy.
I need you louder.
Having issues?
Having issues?
Okay, turn that knob.
That doesn't matter. That knob's already maxed. That's just your headphones.
Okay, we apologize. We're just having major issues today. You know, pushing the mic in front of my eyes like that, yeah, it doesn't work for me. Okay, is that louder?
Go louder.
Louder?
Louder.
Closer?
Closer.
Oh my God, you...
There you go.
Do not make fun of my accent. Sorry, this should flow really well, but, we're interjecting with nonsense. Okay.
Louder. Seriously, I'm watching the levels.
All right. I'm trying to catch where I was, sorry. Oh, okay. So we mentioned that, Christ's pure spirit, and he had a phantom body. Okay, Jesus just appeared to be human to his followers. They reasoned that a true emissary from the supreme God could not have been overcome by evil of the world and to have suffered and died. These beliefs were considered heresy by many non-Gnostic Christians. So some Gnostics believe that Christ's resurrection occurred at or before Jesus' death on the cross. They defied his resurrection as occurring, and his spirit was liberated from his body. When his spirit was liberated from his body, many Gnostics believe that Jesus had both male and female disciples. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
You don't care to share?
Architect said it didn't go eat your baby.
Oh, you know what? I'm just going to continue at this point.
No, but you know what? Jesus did have both female and male.
Well, that has come up in the last, 10 years or so?
Yep.
Oh, really? We have to be that close?
I'm just making sure they can hear me.
I think you're blasting their eardrums at this point.
Probably coming in loud and clear.
Alrighty. Oh, anyway, let me just continue. The universe. This is divided into 3 kingdoms. The earthly cosmos is one. The earth is the center of the universe, and it is composed of the world that we know and of an underworld. It is surrounded by air and by the 7 concentric heavenly spheres, one for each of the moon, the Venus, Mercury, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Beyond Saturn resides Leviathan, a snake coiled in a single circle, devouring its own tail. Within these spheres live demonic, tyrannical entities called Acrons. Beyond them lies paradise, which contains the tree of life, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the flaming turning sword of Genesis.
Genesis 3, verse 24, I believe.
3, yes. Verse 24. Beyond paradise was a sphere of the fixed stars, divided into 12 signs of the zodiac. Next, the intermediate kingdom is composed of an inner blue circle of darkness and an outer yellow ring of light. Within these rings is a sphere, which is the realm of Sophia. The kingdom of God.
You wanted to say it my way.
Okay. The kingdom of God consists of 2 spheres. An outer one of the unknowable supreme God and an inner ring of the sun.
I was playing it out lyrically for you in my chair.
You were.
Yeah. You know what? Because I'm delirious with a fever right now.
Yeah, she's not been feeling good all week.
And I'm absolutely soaked. I'm going into delirium.
Plus, it's 90 degrees in here. Ugh.
And I can't seem to catch my breath.
Do you want me to go
Do
you want me to go?
I can got it.
Okay, all right.
Some key figures to understand for Gnosticism. Oh, so you had me say it wrong for Gnosticism. See, you're killing me.
You had to say it my way.
It's the delirium at this point kicking in.
All right, let's just continue.
Some key figures to understand for Gnosticism. So that...
It was closer than it appeared. Do you want me to continue?
No, I can read.
Okay.
I'm just having a hard time focusing my eyes. Gautama Buddha was an Asian spiritual leader who lived between approximately 563 BC and 483 BC. He later became the Buddha, the enlightened one or awakened one. He is commonly known as Sakyamuni, the sage of the Shakya clan. Shakya the monkey.
Oh, please.
It's like Buddha's going to come down and strike me down. And as the Tathagata, which means thus come one or thus gone one, the 4 noble truths that Buddha taught that is really important to Gnosticism and really is kind of a basis for the occult is the 4 noble truths is that the suffering is inherent. Is an inherent part of existence, that suffering is caused by craving, that craving can be ceased, and that the following of the Eightfold Path will lead to the cessation of craving. and suffering.
Cessation.
Cessation. The Eightfold Path: proper understanding, proper thought, proper speech, proper action, proper livelihood, proper effort, proper mindfulness, and proper concentration. The law of independent causation, that events are not predestined, nor are they random, but that events are caused by the actions that preceded them. Rejection of the infallibility of accepted scripture. Teaching should not be accepted unless they are born out of your own experiences. The anicca, that all things are impermanent. And the anatta, that there is no eternal soul, and that the perception of the constant self is simply an illusion.
Okay. Krishna, in some Hindu traditions, he is the 8th avatar of Vishnu. In the others of the 9th, and in yet others, he is considered to be the source of all incarnations. The story of Krishna's life on earth is an important part of the Indian epic Mahabharata, which contains astronomical references used by some devout Hindus to date the events before the end of the last Dwapara Yuga, also known as the Copper Age, approximately 5,100 years ago. 3100 BCE. However, while Krishna plays a key role in the Mahabharata, it is the Srimad Bhagavata Purana that thousands of lines are dedicated solely to extolling his life and philosophy.
Another good one that you want to study is Tot. I know, it looks like Thoth. It is pronounced Tot. Is the Greek name given to the Egyptian god of the moon, the lunar deity. Wisdom, writing, magic, and measurement of time, among other things, as the cycles of the moon organized much of Egyptian society's civil and religious rituals and events. So Tot was also seen as the primary regulator of such things. He was a son of either Ra or Set. It's not Set, I can tell you that. Not from my studies, but I guess some people think so. But it is also said to be the secretary and counselor of Ra. He was a close companion of Astinu, a name which was occasionally referred to Tot himself. And he had a daughter named Shishat.
Okay. So Moses, legendary Hebrew liberator, leader, lawgiver, prophet, and historian. So we all know when he pretty much lived at this point.
You also have the Greek god Dionysus, who's also known as Bacchus. Bacchus.
We love Bacchus.
I love Bacchus, Mr. Wine himself. Represented not only by the intoxicating power of wine, but also its social and beneficent
influences, babe.
Influences and the vital energies expressed in the growth of trees and vines. He was viewed as the promoter of civilization, a lawgiver, and a lover of peace, as well as the patron deity of both agriculture and the theater. Among many titles were Firstborn, and the Roarer. Fireborn. Rain-giver, flowery, fruity, black-footed, two-mothered, and torn asunder. Dionysus was a god of mysterious religious rites, such as those practiced in the honor of Demeter and Persephone at Eleusis near Athens. In the Thracian mysteries, he wore the basaris, or foxskin, symbolizing new life. These are all gods that are so important to not only the Gnostics, but to really anybody practicing ceremonial.
Mm-hmm. That was really energetic.
Thank you.
I think you must have blasted a few eardrums there. Now you're all tapped out.
I'm good.
Okay. Hermes in Greek mythology was the god of travelers, shepherds, land travel, orators, literature, cunning, poets, athletics, weights and measurements, and thieves, and the messenger from the gods to humans, son of Zeus, and the nymph named Mare. Hermes was equivalent to the Roman god Mercury, and the Etruscan terms. Hermes was born in a cave on Mount Selene. I I know, I can't pronounce it properly.
Selene.
Selene.
No, it's Selene. Selene.
It is Selene, right?
It is Selene.
Okay. In the Peloponnese, between Achaea and Arcadia, his origin on Mount Selene explains the origin of an epithet of Hermes of Selinus. He's also, we'll skip that. As a psychopomp, Hermes was also known as a psychopompus, which is conductor of the soul. The Roman Mercury later absorbed the Lucri, early gods of commerce and wealth, and were referred to by that name. Hermes was also later combined with the Egyptian Anubis to form Hermanubis. The term Hermes, I can never say his name, was used later by alchemists, and they like to refer to a mixture god combining elements from Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth.
Just Toth.
Thoth.
No.
Tot.
No, it's Toth.
Oh, boy. This gave birth to Hermeticism.
You say Isis during this thing. That's I'm putting down my headphones and walking away.
I know it's Isis. There's no long eyes in the Egyptian language. Fine. You know, that's what happens when you have a doctorate of anthropology of religion of man at your side.
What's that? I become a giant.
Get all nitpicky on me. All right. She has drummed that there's no long eyes in the Egyptian language 1,000 times. I've heard this.
Just saying.
I'm not making fun of you. Okay, Okay, so they gave this. This gave birth to Hermeticism. Hermes or Mercury was commonly identified with the Germanic god Woden, Odin. Hence Latin. Can you please?
Latin dies Mercurius corresponds
to the English Wednesday from the Woden's Dog Woden's Day.
All hail Woden. If you have drinks, drink it.
And indeed, thrice greatest Hermes.
Oh, Pan.
Mm-hmm.
Pan's my man. Pan is the Greek god who watches over shepherds and their flocks. He has the hindquarters, which means legs, and horns of a goat in the same manner as any satyr, and is one of the deities within the archetypes of the horned god. His parentage is unclear. In some legends, he's the son of Zeus, and in some, he's the son of Hermes. His mother is said to be a nymph.
We like Pan.
I like Pan. His nature and name, Pan, means all, is alluring. In many ways, he seemed to be identical to Protogonus and Aphanes. The Homeric hymn to Pan describes him as delighting all the gods and thus getting his name. Accounts of Pan's genealogy are so varied that it must lie deep in the mythic time. I gotta just say it, and I'm just gonna say it out loud. I like Pan because he's the god of sex, lust, and debauchery.
Oh my god.
Sex you can smell.
Oh my goodness. We like him so much we named the store after him.
That's right.
Well, actually, we didn't name the store after him, but we embody that. Well, at least you do.
Are you telling me I'm frisky like a goat?
Yeah.
Jesus. Seriously.
Priapus was a Roman and Greek phallic god of fertility and protector of gardens.
You can't get off that phallus, can you?
Apparently not. He is generally considered to be the child of Aphrodite and Dionysus, or Adonis, or Hermes, Pan, Zeus, depending on the source. The ass was his sacred animal.
Oh, Ceres is one of the most important of the ancient Egyptian deities. He is life, death, and rebirth deity, and he is one of the Ennead. He was eventually buried in the city of Abydos, of which he's the patron deity. He's the Egyptian god of the underworld, as well as fertility and agricultural deity. He lost his phallus. They couldn't find it either.
I know.
Set ripped that right off. With his wife Isis, he was the father of Horus. You just know every guy just went, ow. Beb was described as the firstborn son. Later he combined with Seka and Ptah to create Ptah, Seka, Osiris.
Oh my god.
Osiris.
What has gotten into you today?
And was also identified with Harry Schaff.
You okay?
No, I'm not. I'm ready to cry.
Feel well?
Yeah, we're still doing this radio show, so bear with the madness. That is Jymie.
I'm utterly mad. We're all mad.
We're all
Would you
mad.
like some tea? Twinkle, twinkle, little bat. I wonder where you're at.
All right. I'm sorry. Okay. In Egyptian mythology, Menthu was the hawk god of war. Baka, the bull god, was his avatar. Menthu's name is technically transcribed from Egyptian hieroglyphics as "oh my god." No, it's not "oh my god." As, I mean, how is one to pronounce that? Is that M?
That's Mentu, Manchu, Manchu, Menthu, Ment, Mont, Montu, Mont. Montus.
Well, you know, the MNTW.
Where are you at?
Yeah, is what threw me here.
Where are you at?
Unless you did a typo.
Oh, that's Montu.
Yeah. See,
I was distracted.
I think she does this to throw me. You know, I was like slammed in the store all day today, and I didn't get a chance to read over and amend I'll call it my script at this point.
No, I write a good script. I just type weird.
Anyway, Montu's name means nomad, a powerful royal god, and he made pharaohs victorious in battle. Montu was a patron of all manner of martial arts and warfare, strength and masculine virility. He was pictured as a falcon-headed or bull-headed man who wore the sun disk with 2 plumes on his head. Montu was also associated with a white bull with a black face called Bushes.
What did you just say on air?
Stop it. Egypt's greatest general, you know, it's spelled B-U-C-H-I-S, in case I slaughtered that, which I'm sure.
No, it's Buchis.
Bushes. Okay. Egypt's greatest general kings called themselves mighty bulls, the son of Montu. Montu was thought to be the son of Amun and Mut.
Let's go into Hermeticism.
You want to go straight into Hermeticism at this point? Yeah. Okay. A little about Hermeticism. Is a necessary part of Gnostic religion, and the Hermeticism is an ancient spiritual, philosophical, and magical tradition. It is a path of spiritual growth. Hermeticism takes its name from the god Hermes. And Thoth. Oh my god, I just got a dagger look. Thoth. What the Hermetic Fellowship differs as... I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're making me nervous now, so I'm just mispronouncing everything.
I make everybody nervous.
You know, you don't make me nervous. So don't feel so chuffed. Anyway. What the Hermetic Fellowship defines... Oh my goodness. Just scrap everything I just said. Okay. What the Hermetic Fellowship defines as Hermeticism has also been called the Western esoteric tradition, and embraces the perennial philosophy or the ageless wisdom. Generally, the following can be said to be characteristic of the positive form of Hermeticism advocated by the Hermetic Fellowship. So, Hermeticism considers humanity to be on a spiritual journey to return to a state of unity with the divine. This is the great work of humankind. Holds that if we would attain to be divine, we must aspire to be divine. Spiritual growth cannot be achieved without human effort. This is exactly, what we were discussing earlier. Is eclectic and draws material from sources spanning the entire Western esoteric tradition. It's polytheistic yet ultimately monotheistic. Holds that the divine is both immanent and transcendent. Holds that the universe is divine and basically good. Teaches that when we seek the divine, we may best begin with the mysteries of nature. Encourage spiritual curiosity. Understands that human beings can access the subtle realms through the technique and aspiration. To this end, it embraces theurgy, meditation, ritual, and other spiritual and magical practices. Urges those who seek the divine to also seek balance in embracing all things. It is a poetic rather than an aesthetic worldview.
We're going to be right back after this break.
I think
on Ustream. So we hope all of you guys join us over at Ustream, because we're going to start talking about the beginning of starting your journey on the Tree of Life.
Do we need to instruct anyone how to...
The Ustream button.
The live, people.
For the live people, the Ustream button is located at the bottom corner of your screen. If you scroll down, you will see the button.
Oh, it's on the right.
And white on the lower right side of your screen that says Ustream. Click that. We'll be over there right after this song.
Where's the board? was doing goal. Why is it still blurry when I'm that close?
I don't know, but we're live. Alrighty. We're back. We're not starting on Keter.
No, I'm trying to...
Okay, can you pull back and just kind of show?
It goes blurry.
I know, but just a generalized idea of what the Tree of Life actually looks like. Now, I want to be really specific about this because although this is seen as the true Tree of Life, it is not. The true Tree of Life is not this. This is more like a roadmap. It has been pulled apart for you to be able to follow the paths. So that you can follow them. The true Tree of Life is actually Malkuth as the circle that surrounds everything, because that's the earth. You have these three right here that creates your very first triangle. You have these three right here that create your second triangle, and these three right here that create the third. Now, on this is the idea that the true Tree of Life is actually three triangles inside a circle, with the circle being Malkuth. Actually adds up to 100, and it makes more sense that way. So, and you have Da'ath there. Now, we talked about Da'ath. We talked about the Da'ath last week. Do we have this file?
Yeah, we do.
Hey guys, you guys want this file? It's in Publisher. Shoot us an email at
info at Occultist Radio.
Info at Occultist Radio.
Or Alchemist at Occultist Radio, whatever.
Whatever.
OccultistRadio.com.
Yeah, info at occultistradio.com. Well, we can shoot you guys a copy of this so that you have a full Tree of Life, because we're actually going to be covering this over the next 4 weeks, but going our way up the tree. So you guys are actually going to get a full course in Kabbalah and understanding. Tonight what we're going to work on is we're going to work on Malkuth down here.
I don't understand why it's blurry.
So we're going to start in Malkuth. Everybody is born into Malkuth. Alright? So that you know, everybody starts in Malkuth. And we're also going to cover the 32nd path here that goes up to Yesod. It's your first path out of Malkuth. Okay? So, what we're going to do is talk about Malkuth. Now, Malkuth means kingdom. All gross matter may be considered to express the qualities of the 4 elements. The 4 elements are actually contained inside Malkuth: fire, water, air, and earth. Malkuth is the sphere of earth. The basis of any stable magical development is a maintenance of the physical health through proper diet and exercise. Wrong diet, especially eating at inappropriate times, is a major cause of physical, emotional, and mental imbalance. In the 4 worlds, Malkuth is represented by these following correspondences. On the number 1, the physical plane. The physical plane is important, okay, because this is what you reside in. You reside in Malkuth. I can't get more distinct about that. And my cuticles are horrible. The physical plane, the 4 natural forces: sensory awareness, diet, exercise, and resonance. Level of observation in physics and matter. Number 2, astral plane. The magical image is a young woman crowned and thorned who is like Persephone, a dual form of a goddess. She is at once Mother Earth and her daughter, the archetypal maiden. The young bride becomes the queen of the underworld or subconscious. So when you're in Malkuth and you're born into this, remember that. You want to be studying everything there is. Well, I'm giving you some mythology to study, okay? So Persephone, Demeter, the casual plane is the third world. The personal unconscious, the personal unconscious includes the memories and repressed material which must be raised to consciousness. Now, this is going to be important because we're going to be talking about shadows later on. These conflicts must be resolved before one is ready to confront the collective unconsciousness. And you're going to be doing that when you get up in this area here. You because you got to get that going there. Okay, these conflicts must be resolved before one is to confront the collective unconsciousness. These repressed contents require a specific technique to raise them. And then there's the archetypal plane. Initiation into a mystery has to do with the initium, an image of going within suddenly. Think of it like Persephone's abduction into the underworld. So you guys really, if you're studying Persephone, especially in Malkuth, and this is where you want to be studying it, the underworld is what's going to be important, because if you don't understand that when you get up here to Da'ath, you're going to lose it. You're just going to completely lose it. And we're going to be going up the whole tree. Her going within changed her in a fundamental way, suddenly and forever. Now, there are 4 elemental beings. They deal with the 4 aspects of life. But more than that, they also have, and this is interesting, because I found a lot of students that this helped, 4 different styles of yoga.
Mm-hmm.
You have the bull, which is karma yoga. That represents life. The lion, which is raja yoga, which represents light. The eagle is the bhakti yoga, and that represents love. Man is the Nana yoga, which represents liberty. Shall I just keep going?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. The magician seeks an equilibrated development of the forces of nature. This balanced strength is expressed in the axiom: to will, to dare, to know, and to keep silent. These 4 powers are corresponded with the fixed signs of the zodiac. To will represents the Taurus sign. It's Earth, Bull, patience, and solid energy. To dare is Leo, fire, lion, strength, and courage. To know, Aquarius, air, eagle, swift, and the soaring intelligence. And to keep silent, Scorpio, water, man, subtlety, and the soaring intelligence. Those are the 4 major laws of the occult. They really are. And for any ceremonialist, to will, to dare, to know, to keep silent. A potential participant in Magick might well inquire into the meaning, value, practice, and mode of constructing rituals. To begin, let us examine the archetypal motivating factor, or God form, behind the desire for ritual enactment. When you're in here, in other words, we start rituals here. If you don't, you can't leave here until you know what the heck you're doing. And why? And a lot of people say, oh, I do rituals because it gets me somewhere. No. Okay? It isn't necessarily, it does, but there's more to it. Okay? As a god who presides over boundaries, Hermes the magician is able to transcend them. He rules ceremonial magic. He enables us to move from one state of consciousness to another. This brings about the 3 phases of every ritual process. First phase, and it's the important one to remember. Why do you do a ritual process? To separate from profane or daily life. Number 2, the transition stage or twilight stage, which lies between. Number 3, the new order or perception of reality, which occurs in the sacred time of the soul. The in-between or twilight zone enables a state of receptivity to be established. Ritual acts reawaken deep layers of the psyche and bring the mythological and archetypal ideas back to memory. Though the basic or original forms of magic and fantasies actually spring from the same roots, they are not synonymous. Magic is, in general, the counterphobic attitude, the transition from passivity to, take a breath here, passivity to activity. The will is essential. Realistic action doesn't follow a fantasy. I got to tell you, the ego is actually weak or absent inside a fantasy. And I'm going to get all swoony here because I'm going to go Carl Jung. Oh, Carl Jung. Carl Jung asserted that ritual might be an effective way of reestablishing the experience of an inner fullness. This would be a great boon in our society where so many feel alienated, isolated, and lonely, and this is how they get pulled into cults. How many people long for a return to the well springs of being for an experience of rejuvenation? This renovation or renewal of personality opens the doors to an inner world, which at least is as rich and diverse as the physical world. Ritual is often considered as the celebration of a myth. Myth functions as a paradigm or a model, and that's how you have to understand the mythology. Why do I use the gods? Why do I pull the gods up here? Paradigm, model. Why do I evoke gods? Why do I invoke gods here? Paradigm, model. Okay? In this school of thought, the construct of a ritual can be seen as the enactment of this myth, as myth would be represented as the source. Myth is actually a dynamic expression of the motivational power of the archetype at its core. The main value for a ritual is actually for the soul. It's not really for the physical, it's for the soul. Ritual can be defined as the imitation of a nominous element or god form in the life of the aspirant. The aspirant, by the way, is you here. You're the aspirant because you're aspiring to go up. Okay? For example, when you do a ritual, this could be high magic or the way you put your toothpaste on your toothbrush every morning, it is a representation of something internal which is being externalized. The symbol always starts on the inside and is projected outwards. It is because of this observation that it is believed that the myth was first, and the ritual was created as a projection of the myth. Rituals dramatically represent the need in man to transcend the barriers of narrow ego consciousness in order to experience himself as a part of something greater. And everybody has that need. People say, no, I don't. Yeah, you do. Since ritual is seen as the enactment of a myth, the myth inherently possesses an archetypal structure rather than being based on a logical format. Therefore, if one constructs a ritual and attempts to do it with logic, you're in error right away. The first key of designing the ritual is it should not be strictly logic orientated, but more archetypal in design. You do have to follow some practical guidelines, and here they are. Setting up a circle to define a working area. A form of banishing to clear the working arena and help concentration and focusing. Middle pillar exercise to bring in light and build up libido or magical potency. Invocation or the calling in of the desired God form or attribute in an attempt at self-transformation. See, we're already starting on self-transformation right here in Malkuth. Oops. I hit the board too hard. Charging of some sort of, whether it's a Eucharist or a piece of bread or a glass of wine, something that with the energy of the God form, so that its consumption is an epiphany with the God. A meditative period, a banishing to return the aspirant to normal consciousness, and of course the closing of the temple. These steps must be expanded to include divination, dance, dramatic scenarios. Dress up in little furs and run around. Serious. Any appropriate gestures may be added. Oh, I've got so many gestures to add to the next ritual. But none of these basics can be omitted without incurring peril by exposing the soul to random forces. Now, ritual is the expression of tension in a symbolized manner. We get rid of our we bring forth and we get rid of our anxieties in ritual. It is therefore a transferal of stifled feelings. Rites are calculated to arouse the sentiments that support a given path working. And there are values to rituals. Because there's people who go, I just light the candle and walk away. But there's value to a form of high ritual. It is a method of organizing an experience. This allows a more conscious control of our growth and development. It leads grace and style to action. This prevents clumsy uncertainty, wasted energy, and distractions. It helps the general atmosphere by specific symbolism necessary to conjure a frame of mind conducive to the experience that's desired. The gods must be invoked in a balanced manner, and this is the value of a magical order. How does one unskilled aspirant know what god to invoke and when it's necessary? Oh, unless you're lucky enough to have training in psychology or have somebody that can talk to you, that you can talk to, you don't. You don't, and that's a problem. You can even do something bad to yourself. The exception to this is the practice of the middle pillar exercise. That ritual is inherently balanced and can do no harm to the psyche, practiced in excess or poorly executed. We did this last week, and I love this, but magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. Whenever an individual performs a mind-altering experiment, he is performing an act of magic. Rituals are used to program a religious awakening. They are also used to overcome our random pre-programmed cultural narrowness. And if you don't think that's not the truth, you're absolutely wrong, because it is. The art of magic is to blend the magic and science into a ritual. This then allows an individual to control the experience, thus allowing him or her a form of self-realization through relationship with the archetypal dimension. The nearest definition science has for the soul is long-term memory, the data experience. It has been argued that ritual occult beliefs and practices tend to manifest during crisis situations. These produce actual or potential disputes, which cannot be settled, by the science. But ritual operates where there are fundamental disharmonies within the theoretical harmony of a social situation. One invokes basic stresses in order for the ritual work to be most effective, and in right action. When we say right action in magic, it means the reference to will, because again, Architeuth has asked us will and destiny, and there it is. Remember, the purpose of a ritual is an end in itself. This leaves no rationale behind lusting for results, because it's the end of it. When Vicky, you want to go ahead and pull out, give them a little bit more of this. We're going to take a break. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking about shadows and how to begin our journey. We're also going to come off of Ustream, the video's over, and go back to the chat board to where we are just in audio.
Do you want to go close to anything, or?
Let's go ahead and travel up the tree very slowly.
Yeah, sorry, why is it so blurry?
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So, Malkuth, 32nd path, 31st path, 29th path. Come on up the tree, Yesod. See, this is the middle pillar here. And the idea that to be able to walk the middle pillar here, that one has to also understand if you come over here onto this this side of the tree.
Okay, so.
Okay, over in this side of the tree, that is the pillar of mercy, or I'm sorry, that's the left hand. That's the severity.
Yeah.
That is the pillar of severity. Now, what's interesting about severity is that understanding is within severity. Over on this side, on the right-hand side of the pillars, that's mercy. And you've got understanding and severity, but wisdom and mercy. And it's the underlying idea is how to temper both so that you can walk down the middle path. You've got severity and mercy here. You have splendor and victory here.
Go back to severity and mercy.
Severity and mercy here.
Right.
Severity, mercy, splendor, victory. And what's great is that in the center is foundation and beauty. And then, of course, to become, to enlighten, Kether. This is where you guys are heading for right here. This is the ideal, is to become, okay? And you can only do that once you know how to temper understanding to wisdom, severity to mercy, splendor to victory, feel the beauty of what is the life, and build your foundation coming out of Malkuth. So enjoy the music break. We'll meet you all back in the chat room. Bye-bye. we're back just on audio. Sorry about that. We're going to get this right. We will.
Can you turn up the volume just a bit?
What's that?
The volume.
We heard that the audio was too close to us. Sorry about that. Okay. Every disease, every calamity, every failure, every neurosis has a symbolic content. The symbolic content enters the soul through the locus of misfortune or the wound of the body. And then it becomes the task of the soul to make friends with this stranger in its midst. These are the shadows we're talking about. And there may be a struggle, and ultimately it may not. It is not a struggle, but an expansive process with a releasing effect, as if one grows beyond one's former boundaries and the whole psychic system reaches toward infinity. The crisis actually made the process possible. It was the calamity that befell that gave us a glimpse of the void. It opened a slit to another world, and we saw that which lies beyond. The trauma weakens the boundaries between man and the archetypal world. As a result, when the healing finally takes place, he is not merely restored to his former self. He is actually recreated and is now a larger person than he was before. Inner life begins to open up. When one looks inside, there's no longer the opaque blackness, but a rich field of experience filled with entities who long for attention or worship. This does much to alleviate feelings of isolation and despair, providing that one has proper guidance in this realm. No. No.
Sorry.
I'm just going to keep going. The guiding force also emerges with the unconscious. The unconscious, through dreams and through its manifestations in everyday life, provides all the information we need to know.
The unconscious, with its ingenious way of symbolizing, sets the picture before us. This is how it is. There are those and these obstacles, but there is a chance of breaking through to a new position with a wider perspective. Or the unconscious may place violent objections in the path, warning of disaster if the stirring up of archetypal material is encouraged to continue. Are you asking me to continue? Okay. Individuation requires the balancing, objective viewpoint of another who not only cares for your soul, but is intimately familiar with the recurrent themes of archetypal process. This helps the ego to avoid becoming possessed by any given pattern. Both commitment and will are required in the process, for once begun, it must be followed through to its goal, lest one be lost forever in the abyss of the transcendent imagination. New discoveries must not only be made, but assimilated. As in magic, there must be concurrent experience, the psychological insight concerning the meaning of the experience. The individual meaningfulness of an experience is what creates the unique personality of those with an awareness of the self. The instinctive feeling of significance is expanded upon by rooting experiences in their mythical patterns.
The ego must never presume to wield power over the unconscious, lest it provoke a reactionary attack for this spiritual pride. This inflation disturbs the progress of the work by returning the ego to the unconscious state of identifying itself with the powers and potency of the unconscious. This control fantasy is the basis of many neuroses. Some might call it black magic, let's say. In the relationship between the ego and the unconscious, Jung had stated that it is impossible to achieve individuation by conscious intention, because conscious intention invariably leads to a typical attitude that excludes whatever does not fit in with it. The assimilation of the unconscious contents leads to the contrary, to a condition in which the conscious intention is excluded and supplanted by a process of development that seems irrational. This process alone signifies individuation, and its product is individuality, as we have defined it, particular and universal at once. What does that exactly mean? And what it means is you can't let your ego get in the way, because the ego will cause a
kind of a neurosis of fantasy life that will disallow you to actually connect to universal energy. You will get this idea. Now bear with me, because this kind of goes a little half here and a little half there, to be honest with you. And what it means is that you've got the ego, which is going to cause a heck of a lot of damage. As a ceremonial magician, the idea is to find the God form that is within. In other words, you are the God form. The God form is you, man is God. And the attainment of God is enlightenment in the control of one's own universe. At the same time, you have a problem. Because according to Jung, and I agree with Jung, the ego can cause a fantasy of such that disallows you to identify what is real and what is not. The ego will convince you are the God already when you've taken no steps to attain it. It's a very delicate balance. The ego will also allow you to say, oh, I've dealt with my shadows, I'm good. When in which case they're not. So that is where we stand there. So
what the conscious ego can do in regard to individuation is to make the commitment to attempt to work in harmony with the unfolding subconscious process, to give it his constant attention, and to place proper value on the experience. This creates the experience of being in harmony with the cosmos, which is another variation of the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below. There are definite parallels between the ancient arts of the Hermetic philosophy, yoga, and alchemy, and the modern concept of psychological individuation. Once there is some progress on the search for meaning, individuation becomes a way of life. It allows one to see through the mundane aspects of life to the divine patterns animating existence.
We got another 15 minutes of this show left, so let's just
continue.
Let's just continue. Yeah. The persona. The persona is the outer personality presented to others by an individual. Now, we're trying to help you guys work on through this now. It could be pictured as a mask of conformity, which is a conscious adaptive mechanism. Choices in adaptation are made by the ego, who builds up the persona or the front. It is a response to the demands of society for normal behavior. Most people have at least some desire to appear appropriate in their social milieu. I don't. Our obsessions for conformity are reflected in fashion, religion, education, and entertainment. We seek common experiences. We have a desire to fit in like a cog in the machine. Persona shows in special costumes or lifestyles. Alternatively, our job may determine the type of appearance and behavior expected by the individual, by society. For instance, who would expect a brain surgeon to be sloppy, unorganized, an unorganized personality? This would hardly inspire confidence in his patients. So the persona is the public image, which implies certain constraints and limitations. The persona lies very close to ego consciousness, and it is therefore fairly easy to determine the symbols of the persona in your personal life. The symbols for your personas are cover-ups, guys. They may appear in dreams as dress, hats, armors, veils, or shields. They may take on the characteristic of a profession or a trade as tools, equipment of various sorts, or the persona may be expressed in awards, diplomas, or a variety of so-called status symbols. Persona problems are common in all parts of society, and it's what you have to start to get out of. While the persona is functioning well, many people identify with it. However, you can't actually identify for yourself.
All right, so it is easily seen that no one can be merely a doctor, a teacher, or an artist. There are many other facets to psychic life which may be explored once the distinction between ego and persona has been made clear in the mind of the aspirant.
The shadows are created on, shadows are created on paintings. If you take a look at paintings, by mixing color with its opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
As an artist, every painter knows that you can't even create the illusion of depth without including shadows in the painting. The ego itself appears as a flat caricature without the shadow aspects to round out the form. The shadow includes those qualities of the individual which have been rejected, repressed, or unlived. Hey, you unliving something out there?
Mm-hmm.
You got a shadow. Seriously, if you're not striving to, if you're repressing something, mm-hmm. it's not healthy. It really isn't on the idea of the stretch to enlightenment. The shadow includes those qualities of the individual which have been rejected, repressed, or unlived. And in short, it represents the inferior side of life, which, even though it is autonomous, may be judged as negative from the ego's point of view. As a rule of thumb, the stronger the persona, the more repressed the shadow side is. This can be especially true in religious persons who identify only with the good qualities of brightness and light. Unicorns and chauffeurs. But in physics, the brighter the light, the deeper the shadows which are cast. And Jung even explored that premise, that there is a shadowy aspect to the subconscious of God.
Okay. When the shadow and instinctual life are not differentiated, they form a contaminated state which urges the holder of this fantasy to experience devilish forms. This shapeshifter is considered the strongly polarized opposite of the absolute good, which is the adversary.
The shaitan.
Adversary, sorry.
The
shaitan. The shaitan. You are my adversary. A conscious realization of the shadow produces an inner reconciliation which might open the door to manifestation of some of the unlived potential. The sacrifice of innocent purity also implies the realization of the shadow, which releases one from identification with the role of innocent victim and the tendency to project the evil executor onto God or neighbor.
Let's take the shadow as an example.
Right.
It is the image of all sides of personality that one can possibly become. In your dreams, he may be a brother, a girl, a school friend that you feared or even envied, an outcast or success, a professional colleague whose traits you most dislike, but which are closest to your own. And because of your identification with a personality that I'm going to call your ego, the shadow usually appears as inferior and is rejected by society. The development of one partial personality, the ego, builds a shadow at the same time. Ego development in our culture proceeds through choices between good and bad, right and wrong, like and dislike. The bad, the wrong, and the disliked fall into shadow, becoming fearful. Soon that suppressed side becomes the repressed side, and the shadow archetype, which is a potential of destructive values or an instinct to evil, let's call him destructo, is activated by the cast-off impulses of daily life. The more right you become, the more the shadow is fed with contrary motives, until the extremes of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde can be a result. Because the shadow is an archetypal figure and not merely a cover name for the repressed, it is actually a living personality with intentions, feelings, and ideas, and one that you have to actually embrace.
Mm-hmm. By keeping innocent and self-righteous in ego consciousness, I force the shadow into the dark where he archetypally belongs anyway, as the devil is depicted in hell and the criminal fantasized in the night. So in dreams he was showing ghettos as a welfare case, an invalid, crippled or diseased. He appears also in the images of power politicians, the fake guru, the street gang, the shadow also determines the ulterior motives in plans, the schemes for professional advancement, the nasty gossip, the sellouts, all beyond and in spite of our honest intentions. Although we have described him mainly in terms of ethics, the shadow can as well carry an incompatible aspect, one's unlived sexuality or primitivity, and one's unlived potential achievements and cultural sensitivity. Especially the shadow presents images of one's pathology, sadism, hypochondriacal behavior, any kind of various psychic syndromes that reflect in caricature of one's overall personality structure.
As the shadow is generally a negative projection of psychic contents onto a member of the same sex, the double manifests as a projection of positive traits to members of the same sex. It is an image of the magical self, operating the principle of likeness. Projections of the doubles may fall upon our best friend, role models, and mentors. There are implications within this archetype which link it to almost like a homoerotic love. Now, whether this tendency is actually lived out sexually or not, it doesn't matter. The double carries both a spiritual and erotic significance, and you can't start to close off. I mean, you can't sit and say, God, I can't do that because it's got a homoerotic behavior to it. Look, in the cult, there's never been any type of stigmatism to homoerotic behaviors, thoughts, or dreams. And that is actually a persona of culture. Mm-hmm. And it's become a shadow because it's almost natural to have them. Mm-hmm. And if you had somebody, I've never had that. Okay, well, then you're repressed. Yeah. Then you're repressing it, and you're lying. You're lying. Mm-hmm. You're lying because that's not how it works. Its activation means that we are coming to an awareness of our own androgynous tendencies, a form of wholeness. We're actually putting our male and female sides together. The double is conceived as beautiful, with youthful quality of near perfection. Its aspects include aid or support, comfort, a fusion of the fate of the partners, a rapport, a camaraderie. The partners share their feelings, dreams, needs, desires, and potential futures in a spirit of profound equality. The double can function as a soul guide to inner depth and value. When there is an age discrepancy between the partners, the older generally stimulates the process of psychic maturity in the younger. The younger brings a sense of renewal to the older. Darker aspects of the double include a tendency to remain in sort of a perpetual adolescence, or a tendency towards an expression that may be repressed, cutting off vital avenue to the unconscious because you're scared of any type of homoerotic feelings. The other may instead be conceived as a competition or someone committed against your success. Look, guys, you have to understand that at the core being of every individual, the ego is androgynous. To repress any type of feelings would be wrong. This also leads to the idea of it's really I want to say it because you get feelings towards teachers and you don't know how to express them. Mm-hmm. And everybody just assumes, oh well, I'm in love.
Right.
And it's not. It's a camaraderie of the spirit of the egos that are talking and being taught, and the teacher and the student. And so many people mask them, mm-hmm. or confuse them, or start to become so confused with them themselves. Instead of exploring these feelings, mm-hmm. they repress them.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've taught and straight girls go, wow.
Yeah, they develop Jymie crushes.
They develop Jymie crushes, and straight girls go, oh my God.
They're in love with knowledge.
They're in love with knowledge, and they're in love with the whole spirit ego. But the problem is that they begin to repress it or misunderstand what it is according to societal cultures, and that's a problem.
Sometimes I've seen it play out in really ugly manners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like really devastating situations can arise from it.
And you can't do that
because of the repression.
Yeah, you can't repress things, and you have to explore why it is and why you have these feelings. Otherwise, it becomes competition. You become
right. Oh, totally.
Yeah, and what it happened. And I say this to a million students. Please do not think of me as any kind of master, because I'm not. Number one. Number two, if you do that, and you're having feelings and you repress them, then what's going to happen is you're going to have the need to overthrow the master.
Mm-hmm.
And I become a competitor where there's no competition and I'm not playing. And they become very ugly. And it's become very devastating, both to the student and to me.
Yeah.
Where I've just been devastated by their actions.
Yeah.
And you've absolutely got to get rid of these shadows, these repressed shadows that tell you, no, you can't have those feelings, or if you have those feelings, it's only one way. You can't love knowledge, you must love the person.
Right.
No, what?
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't admire someone without being in love with them.
Right.
What? No. Yes, you can. And the thing is that I may want to become them, but I don't have to overthrow them to become them. This is all this cultural competition that's been just jammed into our heads that's just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I'm off my rant. Go right ahead.
Okay. This is a curious admixture. There are where the double represents, on the one hand, a mutual fantasy between members of the same sex, and on the other, their immortal self. It touches on deep areas of social taboo in either event. The androgynous being, whether literal or metaphorical, has been traditionally tabooed and venerated, or feared and worshipped at the same time. Mythologically, the hero is a fusion of two separate selves, the mortal and the immortal aspects, in a single personality. He has reabsorbed his double or twin. This yields a self-creative power wherein he works for his immortality by creating lasting achievements. The unconscious union of like with like in the form of homosexual relationships may appear in dreams as a symbol of a stage in the primitive idea of self-fertilization. In this manner, the double unlocks creative processes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Architectus, our culture, American, is broken. And in my opinion, that makes me sad. Yeah, it is. It is very broken because we are... boys can't feel. Boys can't...
In Europe, it's such a different mindset.
It is.
And I'm not talking like my part. I'm talking like in Europe.
No, it is. It is.
Yeah,
when I was in Europe, you'd sit there and coming from an American point of view and coming from military, we'd sit there and I'd look at them and I'd go, so are these guys gay? And they'd go, no, why would you say that? And I'm like, because they act gay. And they're like, you must be American. And I'm like, yeah, American military. And they're like, oh, so you have a double repressed side to yourself. Wasn't that sad?
Yeah.
And it was something because they didn't care over there.
Yeah. It was like when I was in high school, being, most of us, my group being all ethnics, we used to greet each other by pecking each other on either cheek, you know what I mean? And it was like a huge taboo amongst the...
Were you gay?
Anglos. No, actually. You know what I mean? It was like such a no-no, and it was like, misconceived, as being something else, so it was...
It was really something.
Yeah.
We're gonna end the show tonight. We're gonna play a song. We're gonna end the show. When we're gonna try to take a couple of paths next week. And another house. Malkuth is always the longest to get through because there's so much that you have to work in it. And I think that's enough work for people to do. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, we're going to actually go through all the paths. But
no, that's only path 32.
No, we're going to go into path 32. Actually.
But I think that's a lot of work that you have to do on just that, to be honest.
I think it's just insanity.
Yeah, I think and I think this is a lot of work, and we've given a lot of people a lot of things to think about. And next week we'll pick back up, and we'll just keep doing a series.
Yeah, we'll break it down. So
we're going to continue to do a series on our half of the shows that talk about everything. Okay, guys? So enjoy this music, and we will see you again next week, hopefully. We hope you enjoyed this show. Sorry, it was a little bit disjointed.
But it is what it is right now, so...
Yep.